Good fighters capitalize on your mistakes. Great fighters make you make mistakes. In today's video, we're going to go over something that I didn't quite understand for a while in boxing, and that is the rear hand probe. So what we have in boxing is usually when we probe, we're probing with the lead hand. You might think, why are boxers doing that? Well, firstly, it's to mentally distract the opponent whilst they might potentially be looking for counters that the other fighter might bite on. But we're going to look at the rear hand probe and our options off of that. So for example, if I'm southpaw, so this is my lead hand, I'm probing with the rear hand, it's not just to mentally distract you. What's usually going to happen is, as I am seemingly throwing that backhand, you're going to get a fighter slip and move their head to at least come off of that center line. The reason why the rear hand probe is useful is because when you start to dictate where your opponent's head is going to get to, you can then line up the shot for where the head slot that you have just navigated their head into. So for example, something I like to play with is if I'm using that rear hand probe from a southpaw position and I'm expecting you, for example, to potentially slip outside, that's a very hard one, then I can set you up for that right hook. So for example, on the bag, if I'm setting up that rear hand, southpaw, saying if I'm setting up that rear hand probe, this is where the person's head is in line with the bag. This gap here is the head slot that they might take their head to. So as I'm probing with that rear hand, there's not much behind the shot. I'm actually sitting my weight to the right hand side because the hook is the shot that I'm setting up. So as I'm sort of probing with that rear hand, I might take a little diagonal step. So I'm going to be here, I'm probing with the rear hand, a diagonal step then takes me across into the side. Sorry, if my phone wasn't balancing on two plyo boxes, you'd be able to see the feet as well. But watch this, so I'm probing with that rear hand, the fighter has moved from in front of me here to over here because they've slipped that shot, and I maneuver myself into the shot by taking my feet diagonally forwards to the right. So I'm here, I'm probing, and then I throw my shot. I'm probing, I'm putting my weight onto that front foot. Maybe we're up close, I'm here, that's just a distraction. I want to get into this position here and then throw the shot. Another reason I love this setup is the probe. If I'm orthodox now, the probe, we're just nice and comfortable. We're just, it's not boxing, we're just messing around, boom. And then I break that rhythm and throw a leaping hook. In fact, I want to try and get us a better angle so you can really appreciate what's going on here. So let's try and move the camera down. Okay, that's better. Okay, I'm going to show you from both sides. So just to show you as if we're facing forward, I'm probing with that backhand, and then as they slip into this punching lane, I'm going to swivel my hips round. So I'm probing, hoping they're moving their head off here. In fact, I'll practice off the bag so you get an idea. So I'm probing, I step into this space here, and then I load the shot. Of course, I can do this from the other stance. I'm going to show you from behind so you get an appreciation of the angle I'm making with the hook. It's also a really subtle way to shift stances on that hook. So as I'm probing, nice comfortable environment. I'm throwing that hook from an orthodox position and I'm using it to change the angle on the feet. It's also nice because as I change the angle, that solar plex region becomes a little bit more volume. Apologies on the footage quality in terms of chopping legs off, but hopefully you understand the concept. Now, when we're boxing, having our head